In this video, we're going to look at another graphics function. Now the function we're going to look at is called plot, and this allows us to plot a single point to the screen. Now you might be wondering what's the difference between this and the other command which allows us to plot a point to the screen. So the other command is called pixel, and we covered that in the last course. Now the pixel is an actual command. It has micro instructions which are stored in the micro-coded ROM. But this isn't an instruction, this is a subroutine. And the subroutine allows us to plot a point off a lot easier than using the pixel command. Now you'll see that just in a moment whenever we work through the code here. So again, on the right we have the calling function, on the left we have the subroutine. So on the right, the only things we need to know are the X position, the Y position and the colour. So remember, now the way we are going to set it out, the centre of the screen is 0, 0, and then we're going to work through. If we go to the right, then it'll be a positive value, left will be a negative value, up will be positive and down will be negative, just like you would see in a normal graph. So it means that we just need to put these points in. So if I want point 20, 20, I simply put in 20 and 20 for the X and the Y, and I can change the colour to whatever I want. It jumps to the subroutine and it just plots it off. We don't have to do anything else. Now, once it's jumped to the subroutine, it will run through and it will plot the point, and then it will come back to this point here and it will end. So again, the subroutine begins in the ROM in this memory location here. And for this example here, I've put in a point X and Y, minus 100, minus 100, and also the colour is FF, which is white, but we can change that to whatever values we want. So it jumps into the subroutine here. Now we're going to use registers R0, 1 and 2. So what we will do is we will store the original values of those registers in a memory location called memory locations R0, R1 and R2 temp. And then at the end of the code we will restore those using the load command. So this is our little bit of housekeeping. Whenever we come in to this command, this subroutine, we will pop the return address and we'll pop the colour. Now this is the stuff that we would have had to have done if we were just using the pixel command. We would have had to have set all of this up. But this subroutine is going to do all of this for us. It's going to allow us to define the centre point of our screen as 0, 0. So that's what these lines here do. So these lines here do it for the Y coordinates, the first three, and these other two here do it for the X coordinates. So we don't need to bother doing that for whenever we print off points to the screen. Now the other thing we had to do is we had to put the values into the pixel command, and we've seen that the values were going to be the pixel, and it's the graphics card, which in this case is going to be F5, and then we're going to have the colour, which is R2, and we're going to have the X and Y positions. But the X and Y positions here, there's going to be 8 bits for the X and 8 bits for the Y. So we have to shift the 8 bits for the Y to the most significant 8 bits. And then we can OR the X and the Y together. So we've got the X and Y in the right format for this pixel command. So again, all of this is done for us within this subroutine. We don't have to bother about any of this. And then we will be able to print off the point to the screen, and when it's done that, we can restore the values for the registers and we can jump to the return address. So we jump back up to the end point here, and that's us finished with this subroutine. So it's just a much neater and simpler way for us to plot points on the screen. But of course, we will lose out in speed because it will take longer to run through this subroutine. So let's assemble this and we'll see it working on the machine. I have loaded the program into the CPU, so let's run it now. Now it runs a little bit slower because I'm recording this at the same time as running the simulation. So if I wasn't recording, it would run a little bit faster. So there's the little white dot on the screen. The centre of the screen is up here somewhere, and this dot is sitting -100, -100. So that's a much simpler and neater way of creating dots on the screen. All we need to know is the X and the Y and the colour and nothing else. And that's the beauty of using our subroutines. It takes away all of the detail and we don't need to remember any of it. So that's all for this video. Thank you for listening. I'll get you on the next video. Goodbye.